All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome. The Special Committee for the Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion meeting, Monday, May 13. The time is 6:13, and we'll get started with our swearing in tonight.
I'm going to swear in and then we'll call the roll. All right, if everybody would stand up and raise your right hand. After the word I, repeat your own name. I.
Anybody else?
Hereby solemnly swear.
Do hereby solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution and laws.
That I will support and defend the Constitution and laws
of the United States of America.
of the United States of America.
The Constitution and laws of the State of Ohio.
The Constitution and laws of the State of Ohio.
The Charter, ordinances, and resolutions.
The Charter, ordinances, and resolutions
of the City of Twinsburg, Ohio.
of the City of Twinsburg, Ohio.
And I will faithfully,
And I will-
honestly, and impartially
And I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
as a member of the Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee
the Justice,
Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
as I shall answer to God.
as I shall answer to God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
What I'm going to do, I've signed my portion of these already, so I'm going to give these to you to sign. Sign 2 copies, and then you give one, and then give the other one to Tammy.
All right.
And then I'm going to get out of your hair. Yeah, give one to Tammy before you leave.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And now you could call the roll after. Got all the names to call the roll. You got all their names?
Don't.
One second. Then Tammy will, that's for the roll call.
Great.
She'll call the roll. Call for the roll.
All right, we'll call for the roll now.
Say present.
Tammy, you call for the roll.
Tanisha Taylor,
Present.
Yolanda Lawler. Here. Sharon Patel,
Present.
Michael Halwerda,
Here?
and David Wales.
Here.
Good luck, guys.
Thank you.
All right.
Call me if you need me.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Good night.
Tim.
Yeah. See you guys. Take care.
All right, we're glad to see some audience participation here tonight. So you're always welcome to come to the microphone and please say your name and offer any comments, questions, or anything you have for us.
Hi, I'm Tabitha Stevens. I won't call myself a former part of Twinsburg. I'm going to count myself as an ongoing member. I recently moved. I've lived in the city for a number of years. Recently moved to North Carolina. I was just sharing with the mayor that let Twinsburg be my headquarters. So I have a business here. The business started here, and now part of it second half will be in North Carolina. So just grateful to be here and know that the JEDI is continuing and know that it's going to really impact the city. And it's great to see a beautiful, diverse board. So, and I know that's part of it, but it's not always how many cities we position it. So I'm grateful that Twinsburg has positioned it with a broad diversity in age, color, creed, and the whole nine. So I'm grateful to be here and to actually witness and see this tonight. So thank you for your time.
Thanks for being
I have
here.
a question for you.
Yes.
How did you find out, is this your first time coming to the JEDI meeting?
Yes.
Okay, I was going to say your face looked familiar.
Actually, it's my second.
I was
an
gonna
event.
say.
Yes. Actually, there was an event for JEDI that I came to.
Okay. And what's your opinion of the JEDI committee so far?
Wonderful. I have actually, so I guess this is my third encounter with JEDI. So there was a session at the library that I experienced, Dr. Adrian Hatton.
Yes.
Like Dr. Adrian Hatton, she had did a presentation there, and then I was at the high school, and JEDI had a table there, and the council that was there, they were very informative of giving education and knowledge about JEDI and what its desires was for the community. So just knowing that the city has value for that was important for me. My children are, older. My kids don't go to this school system because they're in different states. But knowing that the city has value for that, that's what was important to me. And then it wasn't something that in a cliche of world today that, okay, we need to have this. We need to have diversity and inclusion. Like, okay, we need this thing. I feel that you're very passionate about making sure the city is aware of it and it's experienced through the city. And that's what I was literally sharing with the mayor, is that I'm in North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina. Meet this young lady. Well, I'd like to say young because she's in her 50s. And she had heard about Twinsburg. Mm-hmm. But what she knew about the Twins Day, but she enjoyed the city. Mm-hmm. She was like, it's a beautiful city. And she just resonated with the value and the homey feel, of the unity that Twinsburg has to offer. And obviously the diversity that the city is very, you feel it. Some cities you can feel the split of the city. Mm-hmm. You don't feel a split of a city when you're in Twinsburg. And I know, my husband and I, he worked in the city when it was Dairy Queen on the corner, where we at, when there was Dairy Queen on the square, so he remembered all of the growth and what the city has done, for the industry that he worked in. And it's just beautiful. Like I say, you have a city that is really passionate and work intentionally and letting people feel that. And that's the feel. I think if there was a race riot in Twinsburg, it would be shut down very quickly, because I don't think anyone would stand for it.
Right.
I really don't. I don't think anyone would stand for any such a situation in this city. I don't feel that would be a part of our city. So, and like I say, I might be in North Carolina now, but I still say R. So that was many of my takeaways in my experience, that it was welcoming, it was warm, and very intentional. So I was grateful for that. And it feels good to be able to say you really do love your city and you care about your city, and you can take that to wherever you go, and it's not an isolated position.
Right.
That it's good because we got, $1 million homes. That's what makes our city great. That's not what we got $1 million homes, but that's not what makes the city great. Yeah. It's the people and it's the leadership. So I'm grateful.
Yes.
All right.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? There's no pressure. You don't have to.
Best friend? Okay.
All right, next on our agenda, it says subcommittee breakout sessions. But I think just given the newness of the team, but also I think the numbers, I think a subcommittee breakout probably isn't necessary. And so I think perhaps we could just work through this setting and think through kind of our goals as a team. And I thought it might be good tonight is just to receive and go through the strategic action plan that was made for the city back in August of 2022. So I know it's all been a Monday for a variety of us. So and given that we are all new, I think it would be good just to kind of review where we are, and also, since we are new, if there's maybe any updates, Daisy or Tammy, you can offer as we go through these, just so we can maybe have kind of just get a state of things. I think as us who are new, just getting a sense of, hey, this is where we are with things, or this is what's gone on, I think it might just help us all kind of get our bearings a little bit more as a team as we get started. So might seem a little bit ordinary, but I like it if we could just go through the different goals. We have 3 main areas of goals under justice and police, and then under city employment and community outreach. And starting on page 4, you'll see for justice and police, you'll see 3 different objectives. And so I thought we could just briefly look through these, and then if there's any updates, Tammy or Daisy, that you guys might be able to provide or insight in the past few years, that would be, I think, helpful for our team. So we'll start with the objective number 1, education. And under that, there's an action step to create an open forum to speak with police, have open dialogue, and voice concerns. Has there been a forum like that? Has that been progress? How has that been received?
Last year, there was a forum with the police.
Okay.
Several police officers and police leadership led a forum. It was very informative, but it was not well attended.
Okay.
It ended up being over in the police department.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that was what got me interested in the Jedi, and I was surprised how few people attended that. And I don't know if it was, I think it was quite well publicized, but I don't know that maybe people just didn't seem to be terribly interested.
I don't know if it was the night of the week or the time that it was
Right.
at. I think there were some things maybe going on at the high school, but I found it very informative.
Oh,
I
yes.
was pretty new as an employee here at the time when it was done, and it was really informative for me.
Yes. And I think it seemed like Chief Mason and the officers were quite willing to talk and talk about what they do. I learned a lot that I had no idea what they did and what was going on, which
That's great.
is quite impressive. I don't know if it's because, people wait until there's a problem and want to know, or what happens. I don't.
But also, we could invite a police officer to a meeting if you would
Yeah.
like an officer to engage with.
Yeah.
That would be wonderful. And the same with fire. Which
And
is-
dispatch as well, if you want to learn about what any of the departments do.
Right. Jumping ahead.
Second is police and fire open house occurring annually, with the first one occurring in the fall of 2022.
Access online, if the new members want to watch that.
Oh, is it on YouTube?
I believe it is. Now, I think Mark taped it.
Okay.
The open forum is on YouTube.
I believe it's on YouTube, yeah.
Okay.
I believe Mark was taping at the time.
Okay, thank you for letting us know that.
Yeah, because it started in this room and things weren't working, and so we
Yeah.
moved down to the
I think
police
he
training
did
room.
get
And
the
yes.
gist of it,
Okay.
though. Yeah.
Oh, that's right, somebody recorded it on their phone.
Right.
So we
Right.
have a recording. That's right.
The second objective is the creation of a mentorship program, create a minority students and police fire department mentoring program, which seems like a really cool idea. And the metric would be to increase the number of youths in the Explorers program. Do we know how that's been received or how that's progressed?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Any thoughts on this sort of mentorship program?
Do you know what age group were they targeting when it comes to the mentoring program or Explorers program?
I know Fire was looking at like a cadet program, but right now, Chief Bosso's, pretty new to being chief, and so he wants to get back to that. He wants to revamp it in some ways, but that hasn't been done yet, but it is a goal of his. And going back, I'm sorry, under education, the police and fire open house that is held in the fall, and that I did have a table there where they were able to engage with the public.
Okay.
We should make sure that's on our calendar
Yeah.
to do that.
I don't know the date of that yet,
No.
but when I get it, we'll send it to you.
Well, I really like number 2, and I think part of the mentorship program, if we got involved with the school system. I know they have Career Exploration Day with different types of careers and programs, probably having a table and something with awareness of these particular professions. I know one of the things that was mentioned last year was that there's a population of about 30 to 40% of students that are not going into a college career path, and they need to be aware of different trades and different other skill sets that they can use far as career paths. So I think this would be a good, if they do formulate something, having it at that career day or at the school so that there is some interest around the educational piece.
And we did host 3 seniors for their senior experience.
Okay.
One was in dispatch, one was in parks and recreation, and one was in wastewater.
Okay. All right, so something that there is kind of room to explore this objective still, and even as a team for us to think through if this is something we want to make a priority or not. All right, third objective was the creation of a translator database, to help police gain a translator during calls, especially for Hispanic, Asian, and Middle Eastern communities. Again, this seems the person responsible will be the Twinsburg Police Chief and the Chair of the Justice and Police Subcommittee. Do we know of progress on this third objective?
I'm not aware. I've been on
Okay.
the employment committee, so I haven't been a part of
I was-
this discussion.
I was a part of a council meeting when this concern was raised by the police chief. And after the brief discussion, they were looking into buying a device and giving it to police officers,
Okay.
where they could translate, I guess, on the traffic stop to able to better communicate. Not sure about building a database, to be honest with you, but they did kind of come to a short-term solution to try out to see if that's something can help police officers communicate with the citizens at the traffic stop. Because I think they were facing that issue on the traffic stop when the police officers were trying to talk in English, and then the other passengers were like, okay, we don't speak English, so that was something they kind of resolved temporary basis, but I'm not aware of any feedback or the next step they're looking into take, in this matter.
So it seems like some progress, but perhaps could revisit at some point.
Yeah, I think that's something we could ask the police chief, see where they stand and if it's permanently resolved or,
Yeah.
what's the feedback on it.
Yeah, it seems like a good
And, new
fundamental.
Police chief sworn in, so would you like for him to come at our next meeting?
It sounds like
Yes.
maybe we need to just talk to the chief and see, get some answers on these things and see.
We can invite the chiefs
Sure.
to the next meeting.
All right. That is the kind of first broad area of goals, justice and police relations. Moving over to second main goal.
Oh, before we move on.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Do we need, is there something formal we need to say to invite the chief, or do we just say we're going to invite the chief? I don't know how these things work. so.
I don't know either.
That's fine, but
Do
you
we-
let me
do
know
we just
that
say-
you want them at the next
Could
meeting.
could
and
you
I'll
ask
try.
Chief Mason to come and see us?
Yes, that's sufficient.
Okay.
I wonder if
Thank you, David.
create a list of action items and someone to be in charge of that.
Yeah.
So you make sure that, it's being addressed.
Or I guess she's right, this way we'll kind of track down at the next meeting too, saying, hey, this is what we discussed. This was a game plan. Did we follow through it, or, if we reach 25%, that the person came in, what do we got to discuss? Because the next thing, the police chief came in, but then we completely forgot what are we going to ask him. And then he's like, hey, hi, thanks for coming.
Yes.
Okay.
How was your Monday?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a great idea. If you can have a list of questions ahead of time that you would like them to be able to address,
Yeah.
I think that would help them prepare, and they could bring resources. We have these great screens that they can put PowerPoints up on,
Okay.
so they can bring charts and statistics and.
All right. I will be out for the next meeting, but I can provide a list of questions that then
We can ask them.
can ask him, and
Yeah.
and I'm sure he would appreciate
Yeah.
having questions ahead of time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then maybe also keeping it to these
yeah,
actionable
just to
so that,
these,
yeah,
yeah.
so that we can kind of get some forward movement opposed to like opening up another can of worms. So yes, definitely to see how we can build relationships, because I think that's the key in terms of speaking with other departments, other pieces, that if they know that we have interests and that we want their opinions, we also want answers and how we can support, then that'll start making some of the meetings more unified together. So I think that would be an excellent idea to have the chief here so that we can kind of grow together with the committee as well.
Sounds great.
It seems like questions would be related to kind of interest in another open forum, perhaps. I guess dates for the open house, if there is one scheduled.
Mentorship.
The
Interest in
mentorship.
the mentoring program, and then kind of following up on the short-term solution for the translator.
Database.
All right.
Sounds like moving forward to the next one, there's a recruitment question that I'm sure we'll be, asking them.
Oh, yeah.
They need
'cause-
any help.
Yeah, because
Yes.
that would pertain to the police
Yeah.
department also. certainly.
A good transition to our second major goal under city employment. Objective 1 is recruitment, so reviewing existing racial demographics and data, including length of employee tenure, departmental breakdown, retention rates, promotions, examining city recruitment policies, identify and track where and how the city recruits diverse vendors. So, Tammy, this is your sweet spot. We'd like to invite you to every meeting to be a part of this.
I can do that.
How we doing on that?
Okay, so for recruitment, as far as keeping the demographics, the city prepares and files an EEO4 with the federal government every other year. And last year was our year to file, so we did that. And that tracks our demographics. We also have databases that allow us to look at things like employee tenure, and it allows us to do the breakdown and the retention rates. There aren't all that many promotions. We have 180 full-time employees. So sometimes what you see as far as a promotion is maybe a seasonal becomes part-time, or a part-time becomes full-time. So since I've been here, we've had, I think, about 5 things that we consider promotions. So where we need to really focus is on recruiting a diverse employee base, so that then when it does come to promotions, we have a diverse base to promote from. So we've already had a fire test, and fire is working on the backgrounds right now. They're getting ready to do interviews. But we do have some openings to fill there. We have, civil service has not approved this yet, so I'm giving you a date that has not been finalized, but we're hoping to give a dispatch exam on July 9th. So when I put that job posting up, we found with the fire list, we got a big group of candidates compared to what other cities are getting, largely by word of mouth, because the testing company we used did track how candidates found out about our test, and a large portion of it was word of mouth. So one of the best ways for us to recruit diverse candidates is that we all get out there and talk to people and let them know we're hiring, and let them know about the opportunities. The jobs here pay great. We have great benefits. So we really need to be letting people know about the different types of opportunities.
Okay.
We're also probably going to be giving a police test later this year. And again, I'm going to be asking for your help to help recruit people to take that test.
Do we use vendor for that? Any of the jobs in the city?
We do use vendors. So for the fire test, we use National Testing Network, which is used by a lot of departments. For dispatch, we're looking and again, subject to getting this through Civil Service Commission, we're looking at using Ryan Ramsey. So it's a local company that does testing. And I believe that's a female-owned business. I'm kind of jumping down to number 3.
Yeah, so the objective 2, retention, and then objective 3, organizational climate, culture, and commitment. The city of Twinsburg will hire a consultant to anonymously survey staff to gauge current organizational culture and make recommendations related to changes that will improve the city workforce climate. And it says HR director, consultant, and we would be a part of that as a JEDI committee. So is that something that's been previously done, or how does, I don't know.
I believe the survey was done previously under a former HR director, Michael
Okay.
Brown.
Yeah.
And he had started DEI training,
Yeah.
but I'm 2 HR directors removed from him.
Okay.
I have his notes and things that he was planning to do.
Yeah.
And that's something we would like to get back to. I am working on updating the handbook and policies.
Okay.
And some of the things, one of the things the mayor did, pretty much right after I was hired, is we adopted an EEO policy because the city didn't have one. I updated the complaint form for harassment and discrimination reporting. The department heads have been trained on harassment and discrimination. So there are things we're doing.
Yeah, that sounds really great. Do you think that's a worthy objective to continue to put on the
absolutely.
calendar at some point, an anonymous survey that would help give some,
I don't know how good anonymous surveys are
okay?
at really helping. I more am one for people contributing ideas,
Yeah.
or, sharing strategies that have worked maybe with, outside employers, like
Yeah.
what they're doing, to further the goals.
So under the same objective, just maybe finding a different way to assess the culture in a different way, perhaps, is,
Right, because
Yeah.
I would say, we pretty much know here
Yeah.
that we need to do more to attract a diverse
Yeah.
workforce.
yeah.
But it's how do we do it, and how
Yeah.
do we do it successfully? And how do we keep those employees here through
Yeah.
benefits?
It's an ongoing thing. Well, good, thanks for sharing it, thanks for all your work in this. Any thoughts from the members of the committee?
I think this can kind of go when we start talking about community outreach, that some of the different efforts that we can do in the future with community outreach is also maybe talking about the employment aspect and bringing that awareness in the outreach. Even though outreach may be more on the service objective, we can still put in the career space that there are opportunities for jobs and career paths that are part of the community to keep members in the community, working for the community, because if we love our community, then working for our community is another benefit. So I think some of that being shared in some of the outreach spaces would be helpful as well.
Yeah, that's great. All right, we'll go to our third and final main goal under community engagement. It's page 9, at least on my paper. It says the goal is to grow relationships between the city of Twinsburg and its residents and create a welcoming environment for the entire committee, and to even have people in North Carolina come and visit. That is,
That's outreach.
that is our community and country outreach.
Right.
So it seems like there's been some different objectives here. Creating a website and a QR code that connects to the website. Is that a JEDI website? Is that a
Do we have
JEDI
that?
website.
JEDI website? Do we know if,
Is it up? Do we
Do we
have
have
it?
one?
It has all the profiles of the people on the committee, so we need all new.
All new profiles. Okay. One of the positions we're currently filling is our marketing coordinator.
Oh, okay.
So when we hire that person, this would be a great project for them.
Yeah, do we know what the original like goal of the website was? Was it kind of like awareness, resources, introduction of team, promotion of events, or what was the
Of the
website? Yeah,
website?
yeah.
It was just for community outreach.
Community outreach. Okay.
Just to get people to a meeting, to get people to the events.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
We were at.
Okay.
They did have a profile of everybody on the committee.
Right, right.
And we used it at the events. I remember using it at the police and fire
Yeah.
open house in October.
So that could serve as kind of an open platform for us to highlight different things, share things. Yeah. If we, to move forward with creating a website like that and the maintenance of a website, how does that work, Tammy?
When I get a new marketing coordinator.
Okay.
Okay.
Mark Gutowski, and get you answers
Right.
to that question.
Good. Well, and we do have a nice logo, thanks to Sharon, that we could incorporate as well.
You're welcome.
So website kind of, we'll be waiting on, kind of on your word for that, Tammy, and when that might be a green light? Okay.
We had our former marketing coordinator had joined us for a meeting. Kayla Pickens had came and talked to the committee, but she's moved on to other employment.
Okay. All right, we'll circle back to website. Get your profile pictures ready. Objective 2, create programming and events that are representative of the city's diverse population. Action step would be create educational opportunities that bring awareness to topics such as the cultural diversity that Twinsburg's diverse population has brought to the city. The second is to, yeah, it might be good to stop there. Do we know, so there's a forum that we did back one time. Have there been other events around community engagement that we know of that Jedi has let out?
We had a table at the movie at the pool,
Okay.
and they do the
Oh, okay.
different community events.
Yeah. Okay.
I would say wherever we could get, just set up a table and get our faces out there.
Yeah.
You did the
Exist.
wanted to.
Yeah, it mentions here, examples of this might include showcasing educational Diwali mini videos on the Jedi website,
We have a community.
or partnering with the senior center to create a book display featuring Black authors during Black. Oh, sorry, yes, thanks.
Michael, Tammy, I'm Chuck. Good to see you all today. If I can make a suggestion, I think when we think of diversity, the city is already doing some programs through our recreation department. It would be maybe beneficial for this committee to come up with a couple holidays that they would like to see programming associated with. I think of in the winter, we do Light the Night, and that highlights the Hanukkah traditions. There might be other types of events throughout the year, maybe Diwali, maybe Juneteenth, maybe a Native American holiday that could be incorporated into the recreational calendar. That would be a fun gathering for people to come together and learn about cultures, and maybe have people that celebrate that culture come show us how we could appreciate it. That's just a little suggestion, or maybe how to accomplish that
Yeah,
bullet item.
that's great. Thank you.
That's great.
I just want to say something that we are, I was going to talk about Juneteenth once everyone else, sat down, but that's a good program that we could have for the residents of the city of Twinsburg, even though it's next month, so we're going to have to, do this really quickly. And then you mentioned something about Christmas holidays, and I was just thinking of things that we can incorporate what we do, our legacy, our recipes, and coordinate with, I think, is David Post over that program he has?
What, the Hanukkah?
Yeah, the Hanukkah.
He works in conjunction with
Yeah.
Parks and Rec. Yeah,
Right.
it's Parks and Rec program.
Okay, and,
He did start it.
yeah, he did. And I would like for Jedi to be a part of that, with different foods and recipes and things of that nature, too.
Well, maybe we can also create our own holiday. And I don't know if this is something that's already going, where it brings all the, more like a, like an international form where all of the different cultures can come together. A lot of times what I see is that when we have these holidays, it kind of only sinks those that celebrate that. So maybe if we created like our own Jedi holiday where everyone can come together and bring their culture to the event, so that we have more sharing opposed to isolating, because we sometimes tend to just support what we're used to or accustomed to. So
Or we could be a part of Twins Days, because that's where you have, these
Yes.
different nationalities.
yes,
Wednesdays only, I mean, I'm on the committee. Those twins only want to do twins things. Yeah. But there was talk prior that we have like a food truck kind of
Oh, yeah.
thing to promote all cultures. So the issue previous was that nobody wanted to champion that on the committee.
oh,
So,
okay.
and get that started. So, we're hoping that there'll be more involvement now, and someone like the champion. And then, Tammy has a little bit of funding for it, a little bit. And to explore opportunities of how that we can get that going in the city.
Mrs. Levy, so you're saying a food truck with different foods, different
Or just-
culture?
There was talk of that before. It never came to fruition, but there was discussion about some kind of get-together that would include, we're trying to think of how you could get all the, everybody's nationalities.
That speaks to what Tanisha
Yeah,
said,
we gotta
too,
call
that
it
we
something
have this
different.
big event, this
Right.
space.
Right.
Then we can have this particular celebrating this culture, and then it'll be all together. And I
That is a
understand what you're
wonderful
saying
idea.
about the food truck. I think a space itself would be really good for different individuals, for all the individuals to come together.
Right, I like the
Yes.
idea.
Because then we have to find someone who can cook, this type of food, bring like that on the food truck, which probably isn't impossible, just may take a little work.
Right.
And there's a lot of, if we start getting, this community has a lot of businesses that are different nationalities, that I'm sure that, now we're not talking about just individuals trying to come up, that we can now find out what restaurants that are in Twinsburg that are of different cultures, which we know they're here, and to see how they can bring, because now we'll be having economic growth as well, because we're giving back to the small businesses, and people are already familiar and used to going to those businesses for just their regular eating habits, but to bring that together, now we're bringing the community together, we're bringing the business, and so I think that'll make an easier response for people coming together, because they're already accustomed to going to the different restaurants that are here local in Twinsburg that represent
For
different cultures.
advertising as well.
That's my point.
Yes.
So my point when he was speaking, it really resonated to me, and I think we kind of talked about it a little bit before, is where people see us. And if in signage, that if there's signage physically throughout, we have the signage that goes down here, we have the signage going down the Thompson Road, but the signage would make a difference. So if you have signage that is a reflection of diversity with Jedi tagged in it, then now the city knows this is a representation of Jedi, physically seen throughout the city, not that because we drive it every day. So when we drive it every day, we don't have to look for it. So when they see it, it places anchoring in the city to say Jedi is present, and it is represented and reflected this way and modeled this way in conjunction with everything you all just were talking about. So if you have the food situation and you do that inclusive position, and all the other things, but if the city sees that, and we have, say it all the time, have a beautiful square. We have a beautiful square with the signage, and I remember when they were petitioning for the mayor, and they were standing there with the banners right there by Starbucks and all of that. It literally felt so good to see that, that there was someone championing, you know, one side of the coin or the other, but they were championing for the city. And as you drove past Starbucks and you run around the square, you know, how many, I mean, I think that's just a beautiful thing that we have the square. Every city doesn't have that center focal point. And if there's signage that is encouraging that, that really aims to say, this, again, this is what we represent. So that's what I wanted to share after Deanna speak.
And that's why I was believing of saying that instead of, you know, it being under the traditional names, it birthed something new of saying, you know, this is what the Jedi is bringing, and now they're looking at, well, what is this, you know, opposed to the traditional things that we're known to, and then you kind of don't have that newness. So I think we can start something great.
Do it.
Good evening.
Excuse me, 1 minute. I just want to talk to you regarding the square. You know, it's not our square, it's the township square, but all we have to do is get permission if we're going to use that, just to let you know.
Yeah, but even with the, like I was saying, like with the signage, but you're talking just about the square.
Yes.
So even if we have, you know, in petition for the special events and the special moments, that, you know, because the layperson driving past wouldn't know the legislation to the square. Right, so if I wasn't in the city, I wouldn't know the legislation to the square,
Right.
but I would see the representation of what the city has to offer.
Right, right.
Yeah.
That's great.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Nicole Morton, Ward 1 resident. I just had 3 things that I wanted to ask you about. The first one, I want to circle back to the event that you talked about with, I think it was our police force. That was a really good event. I think, David, you said that, but it wasn't necessarily well attended. When we have events, whether they're well attended or not, what's the circle back? Because there were some just thoughts thrown around, like maybe it was the day, maybe it was the time of day, maybe, people didn't know about it. How do we circle back to find out, what, you know what I mean, where I'm going, David? How do we circle back to find that out?
I have no idea how to do that. That's a wonderful question.
Tammy, do you know?
We talked about it here, and I think there was some frustration, but I also feel like there wasn't follow through to try something else in the future. But I think the committee here hopefully will come up with some ideas, with input from the public like you, on what we could do different to maybe get people out.
Yeah, because that seemed to just stop.
Right.
So if I understand the question correctly, the question was, how do we get people in to discuss?
So at the end, right? And whether it was well attended or not, and this one happened to not be, how do we circle back to find out the why, to dig into, maybe there were some ideas that came from this side of the room, like maybe it was the time, maybe it was the day. How do we find out what the what was, right? So that then we can, on the next one, maybe we don't do it that day or we don't do it that time. Like, how do we?
So
Right.
I think the one answer to that, I think we discussed a long time ago. I think it's the people doesn't know we exist. That's the number one concern.
Okay.
To be honest
So
with
I have something about that too I wanted to bring in. I know that Tammy said that she's on the hunt. The hunt is on for a new marketing coordinator to finish the website. So just a thought was, and I don't know if this is something that can be done, right? Just not allowing perfect to be the enemy of good. Could there be a Jedi Facebook page in the meantime for connection, for questions, for information, for events to get the word out until that marketing coordinator is in place? Is that something that could happen?
We do have someone who does our social media, Mark Gutowski, but what we need from the committee is that engagement as to what content you would want to share.
Okay.
Seems like we're in the beginning phases of finding our feet again.
But no, I think you.
But you're asking some really great questions.
I think that was a great idea.
Yes.
And then,
It's like finding the problem right there.
and then my last thought was, The translation system, I know that the request has been made to Tammy to have the new chief, right, come, and I know that the meetings are once a month, so there's like a 30-day time frame. You all had some great ideas about these are the things that, put together a, list of questions so that it's organized and structured. But my other thought was, maybe in the meantime, because there's 30 days till the next meeting, if the chief comes and says, yep, there's been no movement, we have no ideas about this translation system, could someone maybe, when we talk about community connections, connect with the Cleveland Police Department, so CPD, they have a huge population of individuals where English is their second language. I'm just wondering if they already have something, or, so there could be an offering if the chief comes and says, no, there's been no movement, what do you have? That there is some kind of like idea or some offering at that point, since it'll be a month from now. Those are all my thoughts.
Those are 3 excellent thoughts.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael, were you here also when there was a talk about a movie night?
Yes, for Women's History Month, there was talk of a movie, perhaps, yeah.
Right, and I think we thought that was a good idea because, and not just for women's history, whatever, if you pick a different movie that they were discussing like the new Little Mermaid to show, because I think a lot of the way you grab people in is through children. If the children want to come, parents are going to come, So that was a little bit of the discussion, whether and that could be a good, like a breakthrough for Jedi, like, this is a Jedi-sponsored thing, and to get everybody there, have a booth and stuff. So I know there was research done by Jeff Deeds on that, but,
Yeah.
It was kind of viewed that would be a great first event to have.
Yeah.
There's a lot of activity on Facebook these days. People asking questions about, too many things in the city, like the liquor store situation, and then something with the David post. My wife showed me, it was 108 comment on it. Something really stupid, I think, but people are very vocal. So I think people, if they find out about this opportunity for them to ask questions or express themselves, or just to kind of get more information, I think we'll have tremendous traffic. I think this room will be filled, but it's just I think people don't know that we exist.
Yes.
Yeah.
It goes back to my concern about like anonymous surveys, because if we can't get people to come out to a forum
Yeah.
where we're providing information, then how do we get them to respond to an anonymous survey?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had one thought related to your idea about the one big event. I wonder if we could invite the Parks and Rec coordinator to see if there are seasons that are more open or less busy currently that might fit. Like it seemed like we have a pretty open calendar. It's our Jedi holiday, right? So we can be flexible if there's like, hey, these months are open, these months are not open. Maybe the June meeting is the police chief, and perhaps maybe the July meeting might be a good time to bring the Parks and Rec. Is that a request we could make for?
Oh, absolutely. Jen Bentonson came to one of the
Yeah.
prior meetings, the Parks and Rec director.
Okay.
I just have to give her notice so that she can make sure her schedule's open.
We want to do July? Do we want to do both in June?
I think we can do both in June.
Both in June?
This is not that complex conversation.
Yes.
I think we can knock it out in one meeting.
Yeah, both in June. So then if we do something through the summer months.
I won't be here, but you guys will be fine.
Our chair's not there on that day.
That the city staff, we're here to make work what you come up with and what your vision is and what your ideas are. The problem we ran into in the past is like Parks and Rec already have their events that they do and that they implement.
Yeah.
We want Jedi to come up with their own events that you as a committee move forward.
Yeah, I think it'd be good for us to, this is our first meeting together, so we're just meeting each other to figure out how to do multiple events might be a lot. If we can start with
Just
one event that we do really well, with funding, with marketing,
Yes.
I think that's There's a lot here, right? And there'll always be a lot to do, but I think if we can,
I'm not sure if there are June and July meetings, July and August meetings. You guys have the schedule with you? I
don't have
It's
it
not
with
on my
me.
calendar, so.
I don't think
think
there are meetings.
I think it's June.
For us?
it's June and then it's September.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
That's
That's what I thought.
Had some time to bring the community together.
Okay, so
since we've
September.
never done an event.
We should do an
Is
event.
it possible that whenever the Parks and Recs does their event, we try to do kind of event together or be part of that event?
If we're
Just to kind of get the hang of
we're
it.
just kind of there.
Otherwise,
Yeah,
it's
like just
more likely that it will
presence.
become an empty.
Yeah, like almost pilot it, kind of, or like at least, yeah.
Yeah, just so we
They
go
do
ahead
it.
and we also get an experience saying, okay, what do we need to prepare, or what do
Yeah.
we need as far as attendees or things like that.
But I think even when we're talking about like getting people to come to the events, we really, like, we have such a strong small business, local businesses, the Chamber of Commerce. We have where we just have to get active with our business owners, whether that's going to visit them, to get them the awareness so that they can communicate with their clients, their customers about who we are, so that when we do the event, we're not just kind of going out single as Jedi, but we're like pulling on our community, we pull in our school systems, we pull everyone in so that we can get the attendance that we're looking for, so that we're not doing it singular motion, but we're actually making the community and the business partners. And when you go to the business partners in our city, and it's going to bring more business to them, then that's when they begin to open up, like, wow, this is amazing, because now there's going to be more focal point on maybe the community didn't know about a certain business, or didn't know that they were a culture, or different things, because there's not that awareness of bringing everyone together. So I think one of our high marketing components should be, like with anything, that organic word of mouth still works, and that's how the relationships build, where you're like, okay, I know who Jedi is because they stopped by, or they came to the restaurant, or they came to the location, and not just the restaurant, but the other business that are presented in the city, that we're making some type of connection point. So when we're looking for support, we have that support because we're building those organic relationships with the community.
And that could be a great tie-in to, if we do something on Facebook, we have an event, that would be the big splash. Right?
Yes,
So rather than
yes.
just talking about our strategic plan,
Yes.
which people may read, but probably not. But an event that we would rally them to.
Some of you go to a chamber meeting and, introduce yourselves as Jedi Committee and.
Yeah.
Well, in a school board meeting, the school board needs to know that we're here also, I think.
And also the Rotary, I'm kind of part of both of those entities, so it's like.
I invite you to Rotary.
Yes. Are you the
I am
Twinsburg?
Rotary.
Okay, so I'm Cleveland. So I do need to come over to the Twinsburg one as well. But yes, I think those other partnership, we have a lot in this community. It's just now everybody talking to each other and understanding what we need to help each other build what we're doing.
This is great. Any other thoughts under community outreach?
Another resource is we've had a representative from the library come to some of the meetings,
Okay.
and so we can potentially work with them on some events.
Okay. The next would be subcommittee reports. I'm going to go out on a limb and say I don't think we have subcommittee reports. So we'll move on to unfinished business, new business, and miscellaneous, which I believe, Tammy, you had something for us.
Yes, so in the past, the committee members have had binders like this, which I was talking to the clerk of council about, and she said over time, committee members ended up with different versions of what they have. And so what she was suggesting is if the committee wanted to consider something like Dropbox or some kind of file sharing so that, for example, we could save the strategic action plan there, and then as you have resources that you want to share with each other, you could do something like that. So I wanted to throw that out there as an idea, rather than having, the heavy binders that you have to carry around with all the paper. And that would go also toward the city's sustainability goals, that we're not printing everything out. So just wanted to throw that out there if you wanted to consider more an electronic file sharing system.
Yeah, thoughts on?
I think that would be wonderful, as long as you teach me how to do Dropbox.
Okay. I'll talk to our IT department about what we can come up
Okay.
with.
Yeah, I think that the shared file and then even communicating as a team in between meetings, I think is the Jedi email goes to everybody, right?
From Shannon.
From
yes.
Shannon.
From Shannon. I'm not sure what the best way for us to communicate in between meetings, if we need to, would be just via email, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, just keep in mind, you can fact share, but you can't take action without being in a public meeting.
Right.
Okay.
This Dropbox file share, how does that work? Because I'm a paper person, and I love trees. I'm a reader, I see, I highlight, so how does that work?
It would be kind of like a giant electronic folder where the papers that you would normally have would exist in that electronic folder.
We have to print them if we chose.
If you want to print them, you can print them, or you can just, bring them up on a device and read them that way. I like things printed out too.
Yeah.
So I'm with you.
And that would be great to have something that we can share. That would be really good.
I'll work with IT on
I'll
that.
show you the ways.
Me too.
And then another idea that I wanted to throw out there is when this committee was originally started, it was larger. And it was updated last year to be more like the committee structure of other committees within the city. So now with a smaller group, I wanted to bring up whether you want to consider keeping the subcommittees, or rather making them a committee of the whole. I wanted to bring that up for discussion.
When I first saw the subcommittee format, I couldn't figure out just exactly what each subcommittee did or why it was broken out like that. And then I realized that the committee was bigger.
Yes.
And so I don't think it makes any sense to keep that, because we can discuss
I agree.
looking at each other, sitting here, and not having breakout sessions, which always drives me crazy anyhow.
Yeah, I think that'll
Just
allow
that
us
term.
to move together.
Yes, we
Right?
could- yeah.
And I think we have some good things kind of on the horizon that moving towards together, and maybe at a later date, going back to subcommittees, but probably in the initial stages, at least now, it seems like. It's a great idea, Tammy. Thanks for.
If you want to move forward with that, you'll need a motion and then to vote on it.
Okay. So put forward a motion to, how did you word it, Tammy?
A motion to eliminate the subcommittees and proceed with
Committee of the whole.
the Justice and Police Relations, City Employment Diversity, and Community Outreach as committees of the whole.
Okay. Someone like to put forward a motion for that?
I so move what she said.
Second.
Third.
Fourth. Is that how it goes?
You have to call for a vote.
You have to call.
And now we call for a vote.
Okay.
All right, so all in favor, say aye.
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 Anyone against, say nay. All right, motion passes. All right. Our next committee meeting.
Chairman, I have some new business.
Oh, new business. I like new business. It's good.
Well, so last month, it was the three of us were here and we elected officers. Unbeknownst to me, I could have self-nominated and I wanted to do self-chair. in addition to that, it was suggested that we accept nominees, name of nominees, and so that's what I did. I didn't know that I could self-nominate.
Okay.
So I'm making a motion to reopen the vice chair to self-nominate. I don't know if I'm doing that right, but.
You did it right.
Okay, all right.
What do we go from here?
You can ask if there's any other nominations.
Okay. Are there any other nominations for vice chair?
Second.
Oh, sorry, yes, you need a second for her motion.
I second that.
All right, thank you. And then you ask if there's any other nominations.
Are there any other nominations for vice chair? No. Okay.
And then you would have to move for a vote.
All right, so move for a vote for Yolanda to be vice chair? Is that right? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed, say nay. All right. Well, congratulations.
There you go. Good job.
The new vice chair. Any other unfinished business, new business, or miscellaneous? All right, the next committee meeting is Monday, June 10th at 6 o'clock. And I have action items to invite the chief police with, and I will email Tammy some questions for you to have ahead of time. And then also to invite the Parks and Recs coordinator to discuss potential kind of a plan and process for executing an event for the first time for us as a JEDI committee. All right. Well, with that, we adjourn the meeting at 7:14.